I'm Maria Thea Harris, or Velo Sews on social media. Welcome back to Sew 50's podcast on Sew Organised Style. Make sure you like and subscribe Sew Organised Style on your podcast app and on YouTube.
I'm sure my gran, and I might have mentioned it before when we were talking, my gran would probably, as much as she might be proud of the work that I produce, I don't know that she would approve me of cutting up perfectly good tablecloths.
That's Amanda Knight, or Amanda.stitches on Instagram. On another topic, if you live in Australia and decide to purchase your own Mimiquin, I'll be your body scanner. Go to mimiquins.com to book your scanning session. Now, let's grab a cuppa to hear Amanda's story. Hi Amanda, thanks for coming onto the podcast today for Sew 50 and also for Sew Organised Style.
Thank you, Maria. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
That's okay. I mean, today you're actually a guest editor on Sew Over 50.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So can you give us a brief outline about your post and that you're managing today?
I made the draftersgriddress. It's by Roberts.woods. I chose to use upcycled vintage tablecloths. They're very precious to me, working with old garments that have had a lot of love go into them.
Yep.
I enjoyed the process. I felt that the dress lent itself to being able to use the important parts of those tablecloths, the embroidery and the lace work I used on the border. It was truly a labour of love.
And again, thank you for being the guest editor today for Sew 50, and I'm really pleased to be able to help you behind the scenes as well.
Yep, it's my absolute pleasure, and I look forward to working with you. It's lovely.
So when did you first notice the Robert Woods designs?
I noticed them first through Frocktails a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
There were some younger ladies there wearing Roberts Wood Alicia Bow dress.
Yeah.
I purchased that pattern. I must confess I haven't yet made it.
Mm-hmm.
The Drafters Grid came upon my radar, probably through Instagram, or through Roberts Wood themselves. The precision and the squares and the appeals to the type of sewing that I like to do, but I wanted to do something different. And after discovering or purchasing and starting working with tablecloths last year, I decided that's what I was going to do. So it's been a lot. I think even last year at Frocktails, I said, next year I'm going to make a tablecloth dress. And my sewing and even my non-sewing friends know about my grid dress, my drafters dress, or the tablecloth dress.
Good. How many pieces are in the drafter's dress?
In the version that I made, which was short sleeves, was 172.
Wow.
I also lined the skirt, but I used new fabric for that. I used a heavyweight satin-backed cotton, and I did that because some of the pieces are see-through, and I'm a little bit old to be wearing see-through dresses up just under my bottom.
That's fair enough. It's, horses for courses, right?
It is indeed.
Yeah. The other thing that was really impressive about your dress was you paired the dress with a pink smitten jacket.
The weather in Perth has been somewhat unpredictable, and a few days out from Frocktails, I realised that in a short sleeve dress I was likely to freeze. The fabric that I used, the pink fabric, was left over from last year's Frocktails dress, so I didn't have to go and procure anything else. Fortunately, it was a perfect match.
Yeah.
I had enough fabric left amongst my scraps to cover the buttons and to line the inside of the yoke with tablecloth fabric. So it just brought the whole outfit together, and I was really pleased with it.
It was really great that it all seemed to flow, and it was quite impressive. And the fit that you created with the dress was perfect for you.
The dress gives you the option to put an elastic waist in it. I put it together without the elastic, and I tried it on, and my husband is the only person at home that can help me late at night when I need help, and I said, what do you think? I trialled the top first to make sure it fitted across the shoulders and the bust. There'd be nothing worse than putting 172 pieces together. But I needed to bring it in at the waist, so I put a channel through and some elastic, not tight, but just enough to bring it in and give me a bit of shape.
Yeah, it looked great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next question I had was, and it's in the post that you put together, when you were choosing the vintage tablecloths, you were quite particular with which ones you used because there were 6 in total.
Yes, I used 6 tablecloths. In fairness, I probably purchased at least another 6.
Oh.
I have quite a number of them now, and I have friends that know that I collect vintage table linen, so I'm very lucky to have been gifted a lot.
Yep.
It was important to me to use the same shade of white. And whilst initially they looked like they were the same shade of white, in the sunlight out in the garden, they weren't the same. After they'd been laundered, they changed, but also to have the same pink tones. I've got lots of tablecloths that have got red or orange or yellow tones to them in the flowers. So it was a matter of finding those that I felt best matched. So a lot of work in putting, and I'd order some online and then they'd arrive and I thought, it's not quite what I'm looking. I'll put that in the stash and I'll go back and I'll get some more.
Okay. So they're there for another day, for another project.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
And really, this isn't your first experience in sewing clothes using tablecloths or repurposed linen.
No, my first tablecloth garment, I was a pattern tester for Pattern Emporium. I still am. And last year, about the middle of last year, I was asked to test a pattern. I was at a holiday house in the southwest of Western Australia, and I didn't have a substantial fabric stash to hand. I managed to find a tablecloth in an op shop and painstakingly laid all the pieces out and moved them around, and that was the first garment that I made. So, yes, that's just been entered in our Wanneroo Agricultural Show.
Oh, so how many pieces have you entered into the show?
I've entered 3 garments in the upcycled theme and 1 garment, the pink smitten jacket, in just general sewing, not in any other category. There's limited categories, but yes, that's one I've chosen.
Okay. And then by the time we publish this podcast next week on Tuesday or today, we'll know what the results are for you.
Yes, let's hope so. So fingers crossed. Yes, thank you.
That's okay. How did you feel the first time you cut into vintage tablecloths for clothing?
The first time the cloth sat there for quite a period of time before I had the courage to do it. Somebody's lovingly embroidered and put this together, and I'm going to come along, for some people might think, and destroy it. I'm going to cut up something that's been lovingly made. I'd like to think I pay the garments and their makers respect by upcycling them. But yes, it is scary. And even when I was doing the draftersgriddress, I had 6 tablecloths laid out on my very small lounge room floor for a period of time with pins and placing, taking photos and videos of how they were placing, put them away. It's frightening. I'm cautious. I don't just go, I'm going to make this like I would get out a roll of fabric and cut. There's a lot of planning into the work that I do with the tablecloths.
And I'd encourage people to go to your Instagram account, which is amanda.stitches.
Thank you.
To see your helpers when you're cutting things out.
Yes. So I have a studio at home, external to the house, so my helpers are not usually in there, but when I'm working on big pieces, then my helpers like to help.
And for people who haven't had a look, who are your helpers?
My helpers are Rosie the Kelpie and Harry the Moggy.
Wonderful. They haven't had to have any training.
Not at all. Not at all.
Your sewing skills, when did you first start sewing?
I did the very basic sewing in high school that, you do in first year of high school. I obviously enjoyed it. My parents bought me a sewing machine probably when I was about 13 or 14. My mum doesn't sew. She still doesn't sew. But my gran was a very, very good seamstress. We grew up overseas my parents are from Scotland. So I didn't grow up with her around me, but I do think her skills are in the blood. I would literally lay something on the floor, cut around it, sew it together. I remember making my school skirt that way and wearing it to school. I did that for a few years, and then somebody told my mum to tell me to go and buy a pattern. And I still remember the style, paper pattern. And I worked on those for a number of years. And then after my daughter was born, I knew I had postnatal depression, and I took myself off to TAFE and did the Diploma of Fashion. I needed to do something for myself. I didn't, unfortunately, complete the practical work at the end of that because I had 2 small children.
Yeah.
But I learnt a lot of really good skills, and then sewed. I've been sewing my whole life since then.
So when you made the transition from cloning clothes to using a pattern, do you still use both of those skills when you're creating clothes?
I tend to now use more patterns, but I can draft. I learned how to draft patterns at TAFE, so I can draft. I think it's probably time that stops me from doing that, and the fact that I would need to make myself a new block because the blocks I had years ago I don't have them anymore. If I had the time, yes, I would love to do it. Yeah. And, I used to make the kids' costumes and things like that, and I'd just make them up out of my head.
So you said that you pattern test for Pattern Emporium.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been doing that?
Since 2019. I returned to sewing properly for myself early in 2019. There'd been a lot of changes. I'd had a few years off as the kids were teenagers and busy and work.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend who said to me, try Pattern Emporium, they're really good. Well, there didn't used to be PDF patterns, and you order your fabric online and it arrives at the door and, print your paper off. So, and then a call went out for pattern testers late in 2019, and I was fortunate to be selected as one of the team. It's a fabulous team, and I still pattern test for them today, and I love it. Kate runs a fabulous team.
The range of testers she has is quite good because you can see how the patterns work on all different bodies, all different tastes. She does a good job.
She does a good job. And for me, I'd had a bit of a break from sewing, so returning to sewing and using those patterns, the tutorials in the instructions are second to none. And obviously, because I know what Kate's voice sounds like now, it's like she's sitting on my shoulder talking to me while I'm sewing, which is fabulous. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Yeah. That's good to know. Sava 50, you're the guest editor today.
Thank you.
Can you remember the first time you saw Sava 50 on Instagram?
I can't remember the first time, but possibly I'm 55 now, so I might have had to wait till I clicked over to be 50 to be a member to join. So it probably is quite a few years, probably since not long after I was 50. Yeah.
Okay. And thank you for being guest editor.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a fabulous community, the group. There's lots of inspiration, experience, and one of the things I really love are the monthly challenges. They're summarised and they're promoted all in the one place, and then you spotlight and collect posts, giving us all inspiration based on all the fabulous makers makes.
I know that the team do a lot of hard work, and they'd be so thankful to hear your, recommending what we do.
And I'm sure I'm not the only one that appreciates it, and I'm sure everyone out there in the community does.
Yeah. What advice do you follow about using vintage tablecloths that other sewers could also use?
Even now I've done quite a few, but starting out, pattern placement plays a really big part. If you cut something in the wrong place or your pattern piece is upside down, you can't just go to Spotlight or Lincraft or order some more fabric online because you can't get them. So working around the pattern placement, working around maybe any stains or imperfections that are in the pieces. And as I said before, yes, finds me crawling around the floor. The other thing that I think is really important to consider is the age of these pieces. They need to be treated with care. You can't just throw them in a hot wash and in the dryer because they're just not going to last, and they probably will disintegrate. So most of mine are very delicately hand washed, and I don't use a dryer, but they're line dried. And embrace the process. I love a slow sew. So, and the draftersgriddress was that. So embrace the process. Take some time to think about the hands that went before you using that fabric. Doing the cross stitch or the embroidery or the cut work, whatever it was. I find it really rewarding creating something unique and special, and I'm sure other sewers out there that use vintage tablecloths will do as well.
So before we finish up, because you've got the experience now in using vintage tablecloths that may have stains, is there something that you use that's been successful in getting rid of those stains?
The purple Aldi spray is fabulous for those in Australia. Sunlight is also really good. It brings up your yellow, a little soak in some nappy sand or something similar helps to take away the yellow. And that's where, going back to the drafters grid dress, they were all treated the same. I couldn't nappy sand one or treat one without treating them all. So they were all washed together and treated the same. I have tried recently hydrogen peroxide with mixed results. So I probably wouldn't try that again.
No.
But a good hang in the sun just brings them up really bright.
Amanda, thank you for coming onto the podcast today, and also thank you for being guest editor on Sober 50.
Thank you very much, Marie. It's been my absolute pleasure.
Great. See you.
See you. Thank you. Bye.
This episode of So Organised Style podcast for Sober 50 was both audio and video produced by me, Maria Theoharis, in my sewing room, with permission of Amanda, sound by Kneef on YouTube. Many thanks for the ongoing monthly support of the podcast Patreon contributors. Their paid Patreon membership enables me to create these video and audio podcasts for you for free. You can subscribe to So Organised Style podcasts, but with an S, not a Z, on all good podcast apps and on YouTube. And yes, as I said, if you live in Australia and decide to purchase your own Mimiquin, I'll be your body scanner. Go to mimiquins.com to book in. Make sure you go back and listen to our free Sober 50 podcast archive on So Organised Style. Direct message Sandy and the editors at Sober 50 on Instagram to contribute to their ongoing posts and challenges the team promotes to the community. I look forward to joining you in your sewing room next time. Stay safe, everyone.